Hello, everybody. I see people arriving right now, so we'll give everybody a chance to come in. Welcome to our first webinar in our three-part webinar series, Complementing Your Core Curriculum with Augmented Reality. We're focused on lesson planning tonight. My name is Virginia Whitehead. I'm a senior product manager at McGraw Hill. And feel free as you're coming in, if people want to say where they're coming in from in the chat, go ahead. It's nice to see where people are logging in from. I am going to do a quick housekeeping slide though, before we get into everything. Oh, I'm seeing them, Texas, New York City. I think I saw Cary, North Carolina. My cousin lives there. Jamie, we can go to the next slide. Great. Okay. So as people are arriving, I just wanted to talk about this. We're using a relatively new feature in Zoom for American Sign Language interpretation. So you might be seeing right now a message saying sign language interpretation available. Click here to get started. If you don't need or don't want the ASL, you can just click that message and it'll disappear and you don't have to worry about it. If you do want the ASL, you can click on that interpretation icon there, and that will give you some options, and you could just check select American Sign Language. And then you will see a floating video box pop up with the interpreters there. And that box can be moved around on your screen and whatever way that suits you. So, and then you could just turn it off by going to interpretation at the bottom. So just wanted to do that quick little house cleaning before we got house cleaning before we got started. Okay. Let's see. Are people still, I think people are still coming in. Let me see. Okay. Oh, West Lafayette, Indiana, New Jersey. I'm in New Jersey too. I'm up in Vernon, up where all the skiing and golfing is, Wisconsin, Indiana. Welcome, everybody. Nice. Okay. Jamie, do you want to move on to the next slide and we'll start getting moving? Okay, so first thing I want to do is introduce our panelists for tonight. First up, we have Jamie Donnelly. She's a former teacher who left the classroom and is now an instructional technologist. And she's an author on immersive technologies. She's a speaker. If you've gone to any of the ed tech shows in the last, I don't know, Jamie, 5-10 years, like you've probably seen Jamie speak. I actually came across, I always tell people if you're learning about augmented reality and you're kind of new to it, I mean, or obviously if you're already into it, but if you're a newbie, especially, Jamie is someone you should follow. I first came across Jamie when I first got into this market with augmented reality a couple of years ago. It was new to me at the time. I had done more traditional educational materials and I came across Jamie and I started following her and reading her reviews of apps, and I picked up her book and saw her on webinars, and that was really helpful to me in the beginning. And oh God, I don't know, maybe like a year later, I saw her do an unsolicited review of our app that we'll be talking about in this webinar, McGraw Hill AR, and I got really excited. And I reached out to her and I was like, hey, thank you. That was great. And that just started a relationship. And so now I still love to chat with her and pick her brain about things. So excited to have Jamie here to share her knowledge about augmented reality and how you can use this app to support your core curriculum. With Jamie, we also have Renee Dawson. So Renee is an educational technology specialist out of Atlanta Public Schools. She's also in her third year as a Verizon Innovative Learning coach. I'll kind of get to that a little bit more in a later slide, what that means if you don't know. But Renee, she obviously loves to share and talk about ed tech tools that she's using in the classroom and with her teachers and her students. I actually got connected with Renee. A colleague of mine, McGraw Hill, interviewed her for an article on augmented reality. And she had, I guess I talked about the app at one point, and my colleague said, no, you should really connect with Renee. She's using the app and she's, has some great things to say about it. So that's how I got connected to Renee. And so I love hearing how she's using the app in the classroom with her students. So I asked her to come on board too. So we have Jamie and Renee here to talk throughout this webinar series about, supporting our core curriculum with augmented reality, and specifically, especially with this free app that we have. And then with them, we have some McGraw Hill people as well. So in addition to myself, we have 3 of our content strategists on the panel today. And basically that basically means they are curriculum experts, they're subject matter experts. I like to say that they are the brains behind this app because they write the activities that we'll be talking about over the next few sessions. So please welcome Margaret Miller, Jennifer Sampano, and Patrick Merchant to the panel today. So thank you guys. So excited to get started. And yeah, I think we can move to the next slide. Okay, Jamie, did you want to talk about this one here?
Sure. So I just wanted to share with everyone an opportunity to be able to get your free immersive newspaper. This is like a Harry Potter newspaper. If you've ever seen anything like this before, I want to play it, but it just doesn't want to play for me, but that's okay. The newspaper comes to life and every page is interactive. Of course, on the front page is the McGraw Hill AR app. It is amazing, and you get to just kind of get a little bit more insight into what's happening with the tools. And then every page is hyperlinked to learn more. So you can really dig in and learn more about it, making sure you're getting the right tool and all the right resources for it. So the way that you would do that is using social media. So if you want to put out, I'd love for you to tag me. I'm on most social channels. It makes it easy for me to find if you tag me so I can follow up with you. I don't want to miss you, but we're using the hashtag McGraw Hill AR. And if you can share something really cool that you learned tonight, something that you want to play around with or explore more and really can support other teachers in understanding how to use this app in the future, that would be awesome. And then I will follow up with you if I see it. If I don't, just let me know and connect with me. I'd be happy to follow up with you. But I would just need your address or the address that you want me to ship the newspaper to so that you can have this as a resource for your classroom as well. All right. Think we're ready to get started. You want me to go ahead and take over, Virginia?
Yeah, Jamie, that would be great. Thank you.
Sure. All right. So we are using a platform called CuriPod. If you have not used it before, this will be fun. I think you'll enjoy it. We enjoy it. It's a platform that just makes it a little bit more interactive for you to be able to participate and give us some feedback and ideas. So this will be a way for all of us to collaborate. So that's the platform we're using today. And I am going to share that with you now to get started, but I'm not going to play music with it. So the way that you're going to go there is you're going to go to curi.live. So CURI.live. And if somebody wants to type this in the chat, that would be awesome. And then there's your pin. It's nice if you did this on your mobile device, just because it's going to be a little bit easier to see it and kind of use some of the tools on your mobile device. And then you can still keep your computer open watching the webinar. But if you need to open up another tab because you don't have your mobile device available, you can do that as well and join in and share. So I'm going to give you a second to join in, and I'm seeing a lot of people join in. That's great. So far, we have 30 people. But we know we have 94 participants, so don't try to not join in because we're going to be watching for you. But it does give you some
people.
Yeah. It does give you some fun names, so you don't have to worry. You're not going to get called out if you don't have an answer that or a crazy answer. It's going to work out. But
yeah, I love the names.
Yeah. Cheering Nation. Isn't that great? So it will give you a chance to just participate, but you'll be anonymous to everyone else. So no worries there. All right. I'm going to give you guys a few more seconds to join in. And once it's in here in our chat, if you need to reference back to it later, and I see Curie Live, let me go ahead and put in our code. The PIN 716681. All right, so if we have a problem, it is in our chat if you need to reference back to it. Okay. So we're going to start off with a question. We want to get a little bit more familiar with where you're at and kind of your expertise. So we're going to ask how often you're using this augmented reality in your classroom. So this is going to be a time for you to reflect and respond here so that we can make sure how we're talking about this is hitting all levels of the group that we have here. I can see right now getting quite a few responses. Got 15 more seconds. All right, Jody, I see that. All right, so this is where we're at with our poll. Most of us have never used it in your classroom. So it might be that you're familiar with it. Maybe you saw it in Pokemon Go, or maybe you've seen the McGraw Hill AR app, but maybe you've never used it in your classroom setting. So this gives us a good idea about how we need to speak to you about this, because if this is really new to you, how this technology functions, what's happening, how is this magic happening? We want to definitely describe that.
Yeah, and this is actually, to be honest, pretty much in alignment with, we did some research a couple years ago when we were first getting into this market. And we asked a very similar, we surveyed educators, teachers, and administrators. And we did a separate one with parents actually too, but and we asked, how often do you use it? And it was very similar in alignment with this in terms of having never been used. I will say though, so not too much if we're to kind of compare has changed in 2 years. But I will say that one of the really interesting things that we found in that research was the people that are using, the educators that are using augmented reality use it at least once, like 75% use it at least once a week. So we concluded from that, like, well, the ones that are using at least once a week, if not 2 or 3 days. So they obviously find value in it, right? Because they're using it a lot. So one of the reasons why we want to do webinars like this is to really introduce teachers to it, to help them maybe get over that hump a little bit, because people that are using it really like it, right? So yeah, so I'm not too surprised to see these results, but wanted to point that out. Like, maybe this is good that you're coming to a webinar like this and you can learn more about it and see how you can integrate it.
Yeah. And I don't know, Renee, if this surprises you, it surprises me, because usually the audience I'm speaking to is they've already gotten some exposure to immersive text. So they've used it in some capacity. I probably would see at least the majority of people in once or twice a month. I would say that would be my audience that I'm typically talking to. So I want to be really careful and how we're talking about it and explaining it. And that gives you a chance. I see some questions already coming in the chat. Feel free to ask questions there, because we have an incredible panel of people that can go in and respond to you and make sure that if there's something you're not quite understanding, that will be available to you as well.
I wonder, Jamie, if maybe we should take a moment to define augmented reality or give an example of it. I know someone that we work with a lot on the app, he's not on the panel today, but I always love to use his example of the, many of you probably drive a car that has a backup camera in it, right? And if you can picture that backup camera, and it has you could see what's behind you in the backup camera, and it's got lines that overlay what's behind you, right? And that information, those images, animations, whatever you want to call them, are giving you more information about whatever it is that you're looking at, right? So it's giving you more information about how close or far you are to something. And that's actually a really simple use of augmented reality. It's overlaying your reality with some sort of images or animations or text that give you more information about what you're seeing, or in the case of our app, enable you to interact with something and learn more about it. And so that's where I always like to come from. Jamie, I don't know if you have another way.
Yeah, I mean, it's really given an illusion, right? It's a digital overlay in the real world. So you're still able, for instance, through your mobile device, you can still see your real world. You still see everything through your camera, but you have something digitally layered in the space with it. It gives that illusion that something is showing up in your space. So the way that we typically talk about it is even on the spatial end. So having spatial learning experiences, meaning that this learning is not just taking place on something flat, but something that is three-dimensional and something that you can walk around and see in your real space. So that digital layer, again, just kind of tricking your brain into thinking something's there. The technology went from just kind of something floating out there to now what you'll see tonight is something that is tethered to your space, meaning it is it's connected to a lot of different things like the surface of the floor or on a table. Sometimes it's connected to an image. So it's being able to tie to something that's tangible in your space and also interpreting what the space looks like. So if it's really bright or if it's dim, it will lighten or darken based upon those settings in order for it to feel more realistic. So the technology is just making it feel much more real and certainly more appealing and applicable for our students when they can see that in their own space. Great. I saw some questions in here coming in about being on a mobile device already watching the Zoom. So don't worry about it. You don't have to go out and get this right now. Might be easier just to follow if you're actually watching us on your mobile device right now. But if you do have your computer up, it will be easier to go ahead and join us, of course, through your mobile, just because there'll be some activities that we're doing. And I see Pokemon Go laughing about that. I know that was when everybody found out about augmented reality. I feel like that was the one tool that just gave great visibility.
Yep.
And then Chromebooks was a question in here as well. Just so you know, most Chromebooks will not function with augmented reality, but we will be talking about the opportunity you have to still learn using Chromebooks. So this is one of the very rare tools that I get to say, hey, if you have Chromebooks, you're going to be A-okay. Because normally I'm saying most schools don't have the right Chromebooks to function for augmented reality. You need a front and rear facing camera. You're going to have the Google Play Store available to download. And in most school settings, that's not the case. They're buying the cheapest device that doesn't have that functionality. But you guys will learn here soon that that is certainly an option for you. All right. So we also saw this in the chat. They were asking, where do I get this incredible app? If you want to share a little bit about that, Virginia.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can, that's a QR code there. So if you are on your laptop or Chromebook, you can scan that right there and it'll take you to a page where you can choose, the Google App Store or the Apple App Store, and just download it right now onto your device. It is free, so no worries about any cost or anything like that. This is all free. I'll get to that in a moment as to why it's free in case you're wondering. There's a slide coming up where I'll talk about that. But it is a free app and it's what we'll be featuring throughout this series. And like Jamie was just saying right before this, we do have some web-based activities available at mharonline.com. Maybe we could throw that into the chat too, if someone could do that. Not all of the activities as of today that are in the app are available online, but they will be within like the next 6 months. So by the start of the new school year, everything you see in the app today will actually be online as well. And there will be Spanish versions. So yeah, so lots more to come and we'll talk about some of that as we go on.
All right. Go to the next slide. I will say, if you're like, let's see what this is all about and I'll go get it later. I definitely recommend getting this and playing with us. So as you're seeing us explore, it would be to your benefit to do it with us and to test it as you can. So this will help you to be able to understand it better and then also use it in the future. This is a perfect time to test this out, get your answers, and get support along the way. All right. So I am definitely going to let Virginia talk through this one because there's some cool stuff here. Unless she didn't hear me say that. So I okay, are you good?
Okay, there. I couldn't see the
Okay. I can go ahead and talk through this one. So what's
Hi,
really
yeah, I could talk through this. I'm gonna turn off my video.
okay.
Can you
I think we're having a little technical difficulties here in the background with Virginia. I think she muted as well.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I did turn off my video because I was getting one of those internet unstable messages. So I'm turning off my video. But yeah, I can talk through this if you guys can hear me okay. So before we get into demoing the app and everything, we just wanted to give like a little overview of it first. So we like to say that the app takes concepts that are, challenging, typically challenging for students, abstract concepts, especially if you're talking about math, um, routine concepts, maybe dare I say boring concepts, from a student's perspective, concepts that are sometimes hard for students to connect to. And we use the augmented reality to make them more, to maybe gamify them, make them more interactive, to engage the students more, to get them interested, get them playing, get them interacting, as opposed to just reading from a book. Because, some students need more active ways to learn, right? So in a nutshell, that's sort of the overview of the app. But what I will say, and you can see this a little bit from looking at these screens here, and we were kind of talking about this before, it is available in, tablets and smartphones. We are having more and more web versions come out and Spanish versions. Like I said, there'll be web in Spanish and Spanish web versions of everything by the start of the 2024 school year. So it's available across devices and in Spanish and English. And you can even see, looking like at this serial, if you could see that cereal box right there, the laptop there, we try to incorporate the real world as much as possible, especially with something like math that is very abstract for a lot of students. So we try to incorporate real world objects that they're used to seeing all the time and have them interact with them and do sort of like what if scenarios with them. So yeah, just really trying to take those concepts that are hard for students to connect to sometimes and make them interactive, gamify them, and help them learn through play.
Yeah. And I think even looking at the various devices, the flexibility in a classroom, we have to be here, right? Oftentimes it is limited. Some people talk about some technology where you have to go out and buy a headset and have a huge budget. And what's amazing about this tool is that you can have any classroom device, really, and you're going to find access to using this kind of technology, which is pretty amazing. And your students, their minds are going to be blown. So I cannot wait to show off the McGraw Hill AR app, but just the mere fact that it's available on multiple platforms is huge. That's a rarity. Right. Okay, so the next we're going to be looking at right now, Virginia, is our library, the content library.
Okay. Yeah, so here's where the library stands as of today. I will say over the next 1 to 2 years, we're adding dozens of more activities. So there's going to be more, but this is where it stands as of today. There might be 2 activities that if you're in the app right now, you're not seeing, but they are releasing within the next week. So there, if you're like, oh, I think someone said there's 7 science. We said 7 science. I'm only seeing 5. Yeah, it's the last 2 are science ones that are releasing in the next week or so. But so this is where the library stands today. And like I was saying before, if you look at the right side with math, you could see where we really tried to incorporate the real world. Like I'll just point out a few here. Like if you see LCM in the second row, there's race cars there. We help them learn least common multiple using race cars, right? We have right above that coordinate plane, we have like using they use the coordinate plane to move a dog to its object, to its dog house, to its bone, to wherever it wants to go. So they are constantly using relevant real world objects in the math side of things. Social studies, if you take a look at some of those, we have a pretty good mix, an even mix of world and US history there. So we try to be cognizant of that. So it's not, too much one way or the other. And I know we've got some ideas for some more coming, and we'll get to that later about what you'd like to see. And I also want to point out with his social studies that they also cover ELA standards. They have integrated readings in them. Sometimes they're nonfiction, sometimes they're literary, but they do integrate readings in them that cover ELA standards. So good to know if there's any ELA people on or social studies people, share that with your ELA colleagues. And with science, I mean, we've got it varies from life science to physical to earth. So a range of options there as well. And we've got more coming in the next 1 to 2 years, like I said.
Yeah, and I will say I saw in the comments here talking about only seeing some of the activities. So just keep in
I think we
mind,
can move to the next slide.
okay. I don't know if Virginia's hearing me or not. So I will say in that is that I always mess up by saying only looking at what I've downloaded inside of the app instead of having them all installed under all of the activities, all of the applications. So that's, yeah. So that tricks me up every time. So I just have to either go and update or I have to install some of the new activities there. So.
Mm. Yeah, there's My Library is where the activities that you've actually downloaded to your device are. If you're first starting out, you'll want to go to all activities and download either all of them or whatever ones you want. It's up to you. But that's the difference. All activities has everything. My Library is what you've actually downloaded. So if you download it, then you don't need to have an internet connection, or your students don't need to have an internet connection once everything is downloaded. Okay. All right. Can you guys still hear me okay? Okay,
Yeah.
good. All right. So I mentioned before that this was free, and I said I'll explain why it's free in a moment. Well, this here is why it's free. This app was built in partnership with Verizon for their Verizon Innovative Learning initiative. This is an initiative that they have, an educational initiative where their goal, and I put it right there, is to help bridge the digital divide with the goal of providing digital skills and training to 10 million students by 2030. So our role in this is, they came to us as an education company and said, would you be willing to build an app? They would fund it, hence that's where the free comes from, but you have to offer it for free. So this is why we can offer it for free. It's all thanks to Verizon's funding. So thank you, Verizon, for being such a great partner. And yeah, so I know, during the pandemic, I'm sure you guys all know everybody got devices, right? But there wasn't necessarily like high quality STEM kind of content for these devices. So this is really helps to fill a gap that helps all students, regardless of where they live or access to what resources they have. This is free and it's high quality STEM resources that we built as part of this initiative. So yeah, this is the catch as to, why is it free?
All right. And I know we are now ready to explore this app and start showing you some of the activities. Renee's going to be joining me on here too. So we'll be just kind of talking through some of the things that you can do. And we want to just give you a basic overview of how to get the app. You've been told several times here in the chat how to download it. And if you have any problems with that, feel free to request some support there. But once you have it downloaded, we're going to show you what that looks like and kind of the interface of this, as well as how to interact and engage with the content. So Renee, are you there?
I am.
Yay. All right. So I am going to be screen sharing my mobile device in this Zoom. So that's always, that one's always tricky. So we're going to give it a shot. And I am going to change from my screen on my computer to screen sharing on my phone. All right, there we go. Hopefully everybody can see that okay.
Yep, it looks great.
Awesome. Okay, so this is the app here that you will download, the McGraw Hill AR app. Like Virginia was talking about, on the left-hand side, you have My Library and then All Activities. So All Activities is where you want to start first. You can notice up at the top where it says All Activities, there's 27 activities. I don't know about you, Renee, but for me, I only had downloaded a few, that I really loved. I hadn't went into every single one, at least with the latest update too. Some of them required an update. I don't know. Do you have them all downloaded?
I don't have them all downloaded. I have almost all of them downloaded though.
Yeah. They've been coming so quick. I feel like
exciting.
every time I talk to Virginia, she's like, we got more out. And it's like, wait, what? Really? How did you do that so fast? So the 3 subjects that they have today are math, science, and social studies. And the first one that they released was, of course, math. Renee and I are very passionate about the math content because that's where we got our first taste of this McGraw Hill AR app. So if you came in under all activities, and you can see the list of the different activities available under math. And so once you come in here and you select one of these, right now it says start activity because I've already installed. But for you, you're actually going to have to tap install under the image. And then once you install it, it takes just a few seconds. It will load on your mobile device, and then you can actually start playing. But once you've done that, under my library, you will then see it under your content. Now, I went in today, I downloaded them all. So you're going to see I have 27 activities. That never happens. So by tomorrow, I'll be outdated when they release more content. But all activities is where you're going to start, and you're going to go ahead and get those downloaded. So Renee, I think we're starting with LCM, our first one. So you ready to go?
Sure.
All right. So here we go. I'm going to start activity. And it's actually going to describe the content that we're going to be going through, and we're going to choose play. I'm going to make sure my audio is turned up here, and hopefully it comes through on our screen. Okay. So I'll choose play. And it's actually looking for a surface. Now, a flat surface is where you're going to need to place it. Oftentimes you'll see students placing it on the floor. Where it gets interesting is like right here, it goes off my table, and it's going to say, I don't really like that. So it really wants to find a spot that is flat and a large enough area to place and anchor your augmented reality experience. So I'm going to go ahead and place there, choose done. And here we go. Renee, have you ever played this one before?
I have. It's been a while, but I have played it.
Traveling along their respective paths at the same time. The red marble completes its path every 3 seconds. The blue marble completes its path every 5 seconds. The green marble completes its path every 6 seconds. When will the 3 marbles complete their paths at the same exact time? This can be found using the least common multiple. Select Next to continue.
All right, so we got to see for the first time our first augmented reality experience placed on our table here. And we can basically walk around it and explore the content from all different angles. You just want to make sure that you're always kind of keeping in view where we anchored our augmented reality to be. So Renee, this is kind of that observe. So it's just kind of explaining it to us.
Right. I really like that feature because it kind of gives the students like a beginning lesson, like a little pre-lesson that gets them excited about what they're going to be doing. And it kind of shows them what they may not know, gives them a little prior knowledge to what we're going to be experiencing in the app.
All right. Okay, and here's the next piece of this. So we're going to explore these different lap times, and we're going to go ahead and start. Oh, I love this with the little speedster here. So we're going to go ahead and say here, and we're going to have to play. Now, this is what really caught my attention about this app, is that they're not just giving you content and then saying, okay, now take this and run with it. Now you're actually going to play with the content. So the concepts here are so cool where you can go in and adjust. Okay, my red is going to go 3, and let's say my blue is going to go 4, and then I choose continue, and then I'm going to start. All right, so it's basically letting me come in and play the same concept that we just learned, but I feel like it's a really cool way of understanding the concepts and visually seeing and connecting the dots. Because then, of course, you can come back here and change your lap time and those seconds and see how the different variations and the outcomes that are there. All right. And then from there, we say next, and it's continuing to the next exercise. Oh, now there's 3 of them. This is when your kids are like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So then you go back into your lap times, you adjust. So Renee, why don't you give me some numbers for our red, blue, and green?
All right, let's do 3 for our red,
Okay.
4 for our blue,
Mhm.
and 2 for our green. And let's see what happens.
All right, and we can kind of see what their tracks look like, and let's see how they do. Now we're going to start. All right, there we go. So it's really showing the time that they are all coming back together based upon the numbers that we selected, and their least common multiple in this case is 15. So this is a really, really creative way. I mean, every single activity in here is just so creative. I mean, the people that we have in here on the panel, I'm just amazed by what you guys have come up with to make this so interactive. So I'm going to go ahead and choose next for the next exercise. It gets a little bit more difficult. So we're going to go ahead and say next, and then we're ready to move on. And now we're starting to deal with some of the content that we just learned about, right? We're now applying this and reaffirming what content that we need to retain. And so what is the least common multiple? And I'm going to get everything wrong because I don't have a pen and paper with me, and I'm not going to do this right here. So I know that's not going to be right. 50 is, oh, it's 40. Okay, so I would say, nope, that doesn't work. I'm going to come over here to 2, 3, 7, and 10. And let's say 210. And that one's correct. So it's showing you some of the math. And then of course you go through this, basically this assessment to affirm that what you just did, you understood, and you can go through each of these and finish out. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this particular lesson. And the next one we have listed is equivalent fractions. So we're going to go back into math. I know that the one we really loved was slope, right? So we're going to bring in slope because I just saw Renee's face like light up when I just said that. So I know we're in the right activity here. This one is so fun and hilarious at the same time.
Being
All
in
right.
Atlanta, Georgia, my students love slope because we don't get a lot of snow. So they get to actually pretend that they know what it's like to be a
Ski trails are often called slopes.
Oops, sorry about
The
that.
steepness of a ski slope is one factor in rating its difficulty.
All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off with content here. And let me go ahead and get this showing again.
Oh, no, that's fine. I was just saying that they just love something that they're not familiar with. So being in Atlanta and not having snow, slope is something that they generally like to explore.
Absolutely. And I'm in the same boat. I'm in Texas. So anytime we can see snow is always a win for us.
We got plenty of that in the
Blue
Northeast tonight.
trails are more difficult because they
Go ahead.
I will say,
It's still trying to.
well, yeah, while you're doing that, in terms of being able to experience something you don't normally get to experience, we have an activity that's about to release. It's a math one on equivalent fractions, which basically takes place in a jungle. So that'll be something everybody, because most people, at least in the United States, are not used to, a jungle habitat. So we're going to actually talk about that one more in the next webinar, and we talk about gamification. So I don't want to talk about it too much, but just thought I'd call that out.
Yeah, that's a good one. Do you want to talk through the slope one while I'm reconnecting here?
Sure. Yeah. So the slope one, we use ski slopes and also skate ramps to use real world, like I talked before about the real world objects for students to kind of apply what they're learning to the real world. So and it's really, I think one of the reasons why people really like it is that as you're playing with it and trying to figure out the proper slope, things happen to the skaters on the skate ramps. Like if you don't get it right and it's a little bit too short, they like stumble into the wall and fall down. Or if you overshoot, if you choose the slope, make the slope too high, then they miss it and they overshoot it and they tumble the other way. So anyway, it's just sort of like that's a little bit of the fun added in. So while they're trying to actually learn the concept, they actually still get to see some fun stuff like this, like the skaters tumbling and falling when they don't get it right. So they're learning, but still having a little bit of fun at the same time. And it gets
Yeah.
increasingly more hard with each explore activity. Like the slope that they have to find gets a little bit more challenging. So we're just trying to like up it a little bit.
Right. I'm going to go ahead and move over to the next activity here in CuriPod with us. And we're going to ask you about some of the subjects maybe that you didn't see. So we showed science, we showed social studies, and we showed math. And we're going to give you a minute to go ahead and respond in CuriPod and let us know if you think maybe there's a subject you expect to see and you didn't see it in there, or that you hope to see. So we're going to give you a chance to respond. And I'll play some music for us. Maybe not that loud. Right, I'm seeing some responses coming in. Right. 5 seconds. All right, we have answers here. So let's see those answers. We're going to skip voting here, but we do want to see your responses. Okay. Wow, we have a lot of really good responses here. Ecosystems, World War II, stats. Oh my word.
This is great info for us to have because we are actually right now deciding what the topics are going to be for the next year or two. So content strategists, take a look at
Yeah,
this.
this
If there's
is
anything
great.
you guys want to comment on, we literally just had a meeting earlier today.
I love the idea of SEL. That's great.
Yeah.
Yes, we could do a whole
I mean, even like,
series on that.
yeah. I mean, health would be so cool too. I mean, there's reading. That would be pretty cool.
We are adding, for the reading zone, we are adding ELA as a subject in this coming year. So that is definitely coming. We don't know exactly what topics just yet.
All right.
I'm gonna put a email address in the chat. It's like a McGraw Hill AR email address. So if people want to reach back out to us with some ideas, you can use this email address. It's mcgrawhillar@mheducation.com.
All right. Renee, do you want to speak a little bit about supporting the core? Actually, I'll go and share about this, and you're going to be sharing about Verizon Innovative Learning.
Yep.
Perfect. All right. So really, when we're talking about implementing any type of new technology, there's a lot to be done to make sure it's successful, right? Understanding what you want to achieve in that is certainly important. Understanding why you're bringing in this new technology, but also making sure that when you do bring it in, that your students are equipped, that you're equipped, as well as preparing the classroom for success. So you know, first, of course, you're going to be introducing a new concept, and you're looking at how this could be played out, whether this is independent work, if this is going to be in small groups, those types of questions that you might want to answer before you get started. And then of course, having the resources like the enrichment, extension and enrichment activities to align with your curriculum. That is massively important. I know when I started in this space, I thought, oh, let me just go share this out at a conference and everybody else is going to run with it. And I would see them year after year after year. And while they were excited about the technology, I would say, where are you now after a year of me showing you this and us playing with this? Where are you now? And they go, I just don't even know where to start. And I could tell you, starting with the resources is going to be a massive place for you to get started. You don't have to recreate the wheel. So I think those extension and enrichment worksheets and activities associated with your content is going to be gold for you. And then of course, finishing out, making sure that what you just covered is actually going to be something that your students have learned, something you wanted them to achieve in this activity. Extending it out, absolutely, but also really confirming that the content that you wanted them to understand is more than just surface level for them, but they've really gotten it in greater depth, and they can then run with that content in future activities inside the classroom. So those things are all really important as you're getting started. We're going to go ahead and go into the resources that you have available to you, and I'm going to let Renee take it over from here.
Hi. I'm going to go into Verizon HQ Learning, which is the free site that you can find this app and many others on. Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Awesome. So the best thing about this site is it's from Verizon, but it is free to any educator. You don't have to be part of the Verizon initiative. You don't have to be a Verizon school, any of that. It's free to anybody that wants to sign in or sign up for it. So to get started, all you'll do is click sign in. And then if you don't have an account, you'll register. I always like to register as one of my school link accounts. So I'm going to go in with Google for mine, just so I can show you everything. And it's going to give you a free account into this amazing, just treasure trove of AR and VR resources. So under lessons and apps, I'm going to go to AR and VR apps. And then I'm just going to find the McGraw Hill app, which is right here on the main page. And when I go to it, the really cool thing I wanted to show everybody is that we have lesson plans for every single activity on the app. So we were doing LCM today. Here's our lesson plan for you. So teachers, you can print out this lesson plan. You can look at the PDF. It's all there for you. I know it makes my teachers feel nice and cozy and warm to have a lesson plan in front of them, even if the students are mainly doing the activity. And then afterwards, you have your student worksheet as well. So you can assess right there. You have something tangible to give them. That I know that makes my teachers feel nice and warm and cozy too, if it'll load. But it makes them feel nice to have that pencil paper at the end of the activity to show that the students really learned what they were supposed to be learning. So every single activity has a lesson plan and a student worksheet. And the student worksheet also goes into some extension activities, which is great because with the app, a lot of my students who don't usually get to the extension phase of an activity are getting to that phase, like my students with disabilities, who sometimes are tripped up on the process and the words. They're making it to the end of the app, and they're getting to finally do the extension activities for once in their life and really extend what they're learning in class. So this is Verizon Learn HQ, and everything you need for McGraw Hill AR is on this site.
I love that. I will tell you that I've spent a significant amount of time in this website because there are so many resources. And I remember the first time I ran across this one and I thought, McGraw Hill, what are they doing in this space? And I clicked on the app, and I kid you not, I was like blown away with the tool. But the fact, I'm sorry, my dogs are excited. The fact that you have the resource of the technology, plus you have the access of the resources for your classrooms to extend into. I just don't think you can, it's just a win-win. You have all the resources available to you to get started with something like this. So, all right, we're ready to move on to the next slide here, and it will be an activity for you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and get us started. This is really ready for you all to begin to start creating and doing content here on your own. So an activity that you can do and sharing out using verizon.com/learning. Make sure to bookmark that so that you're able to explore the tool a little bit more and go through all of the resources that Renee was talking about. And then also the link for the webinar will be available to you all. And also accessing, and Renee or Virginia, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead. Did you want to cover some of this content here?
Oh, yeah, sure. So for those of you that are McGraw Hill customers, maybe you use Inspire Science, maybe you use Reveal Math or one of our social studies curricula. We do have, if on the website right there for the McGraw Hill AR app, we do have correlations to those programs so you can see where it matches up to the curricula that you're using. So, and we're working on getting it integrated into your dashboard, you know, when you log into the Reveal Math Online, for example. So we're working on that. But for right now, if you go to the website for McGraw Hill AR, you will find those correlations. They're kind of in the middle of the page where it breaks out like the content for math and science and social studies. And there's a link there to the correlation. So that's if you're already using one of our current programs. You can use it to support any core curriculum. It doesn't have to be. We just happen to do correlations because it's our own programs.
Awesome. Okay. Let's go ahead and move forward. Now we're going to ask you, you're going to do a little drawing for us. So you should still be in CareerPod, whether you're on your mobile device or you're on your computer on another tab. But we're going to ask you what you would like to see, but visually showing that to us. So you're going to do a drawing of what you would like to see in the McGraw Hill AR app. So this always gets very interesting. I'm going to open this up for you all to get started. We'll have music playing very low. This will give you a chance to go in and draw something exciting that maybe we haven't thought about. And feel free to use it as creatively as you'd like. So you can do a drawing of slope like we were showing earlier, or if you want to do something a little bit different, you can write words up there if you want to see something like that, add in images, whatever you'd like to do. So we'll give you a chance to add in some of your ideas. What's great about this is you have the you have the McGraw Hill team that is ready to hear what you want to bring into a resource like this. And very rarely do you see in the EdTech space where you have companies that are so willing and able to hear. So what I love about this is that the team is so excited for your feedback on here. And you probably will see some of these ideas that you've shared tonight implemented in the future. So it's super cool.
Definitely take advantage of that email address I put in the chat, mcgrawhillar@mheducation.com. And just to throw out a few examples of what we're talking about, when we were at ISTE this past June, we had people come up to us in the booth and said that, you know, we were showing them the app for the first time. If I remember correctly, they were math people. And they said, you know, this is great and everything, but I teach elementary math. Is there something that you have for elementary? And they gave examples of things their students really needed, fractions, ratios, and so we were still actually, you know, planning out activities for the rest of 2023. And we ended up creating, because of those conversations at ISTE, and also based on other feedback we got, but it started with ISTE, we created an activity for ratios. We created an activity for equivalent fractions that were geared a little bit more towards younger students. So please share your feedback, use that email address, because we do take it seriously, like Jamie was saying.
I love that. Renee, what are the favorites that your students have really enjoyed using and using the McGraw Hill AR app?
Besides slope, they really like the cross sections one. We just did that one, and they like the balancing equations. As far as social studies, the Boston Massacre is a huge hit, and so is trench warfare. And science, we just did a STEM activity where they used the V8 engine one, and they really like that.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, I love sharing augmented and virtual reality. Like this is definitely my lane. This is something I'm super excited about. But when it comes to math content, I can never find good resources. And this is the one tool that I will always share. If any math teacher comes up to me and I'm like, spot on, yes. My husband's a science teacher. So I was showing him the science content. And now that social studies and science are out there, I mean, I feel like it's just becoming an incredible resource that is very interactive and playful for our students to really grasp the concepts. Now, we're coming down, and I know we only have a few more minutes here to finish out. So, Virginia, did you want to add in anything as we're coming down to the end of their drawing time?
Oh, no, just I'd love it. I mean, just please share your ideas with us. And like Jamie said, and I think in the previous slide, please play with this on your own this week. Spend some time with it. Like I said, it's free. And if you know, we have the web versions too, if you prefer that experience. Send any feedback you have, even if it's not like, here's an idea for an activity, if it's just feedback in general, feature wise or something like that. Jamie and I have had those conversations. Renee and I've had those, you know, just like features, not even topic wise. So feel free to set that email address I put in there before. Feel free to send that. Be like, hey, I was playing around with this and I thought, you know, you could have done this, or, you know, whatever it is. Really, we really do like to hear the feedback. So please play it around with it this week and, you know, share it with your colleagues if you think they would be interested in it too.
Yeah, and I think when you're first getting started too, you can look at this and go, whoa, this is a lot. Maybe I'm not, you know, where do I start? And I would really recommend starting where your students are struggling. So if they're having a hard time with a concept, really bring in that resource for your students to start. And oftentimes, you know, we have a hard time. I know when I would teach certain concepts, there was some I wasn't as strong in teaching in. And what I love about this tool is it doesn't just tell you content, it reinforces it to really understand it at a greater depth. And so I would definitely recommend starting with where your students you find, you know, the most difficulty in your classroom. So as you're getting set up, you're going to see the most success when you get started there. We're down to 8 seconds. And we're going to end, and we're going to see 40 of you have made some great, I can already tell you it's going to be great drawings. Let's see how it turned out. We're going to do a little bit of voting, and this is kind of fun because you get to see what other people have done. So on your end, you're going to be given 2 options, and you're going to have to select which ones that you think are going to be the top drawing that you think is just the coolest. So it's going to have you keep on selecting. So since we had 40 of them submitted, you're going to see this about 40 times. So it's basically rating our top. Okay, I see fractions. I would agree with that. I definitely agree with that one.
We've got fractions coming.
Yeah. Oh, the equivalent fractions is pretty cool.
Equivalent fraction, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. You guys are time's running down. We're going to start seeing who won based upon your votes. It's kind of fun. I don't know if anybody from the McGraw Hill team wants to chime in about, you know, some ideas or things that you know, this journey that you've been a part of. Does anybody want to share?
I can share. I'll just one thing I'll share, and I was kind of alluding to this in the beginning, I believe. So I'm a former teacher too, like Jamie, and I transitioned into the ed tech space probably 15 years ago. So I've been on this side of things for about 15 years. And I was an English teacher when I taught. But for the past 15 years, you know, I've been doing, you know, trade shows and all of that, demoing different products and everything like that. This is the first product that I've worked on, and I've done digital products. It's not like I just did traditional kind of books or, you know, curriculum products. I've done digital products and platforms and stuff. This is the product that I have had when I am out there at trade shows talking to educators about this. This is the first product that is actually has been so much fun to talk about and share and see the expression on people's faces, because it does take, one of the reasons why we wanted you guys to download it and play with it is it does sort of take, it is so visual. You just kind of have to try it out yourself. And I just love talking about this product in a way that I didn't always, I thought I liked it with previous products. No disrespect to anything else I worked on, but this is different because it just feels like it's solving a really specific need. So that's been eye-opening for me. And especially because I taught English, and English never really had like cool stuff 15 plus years ago. But now there is really cool stuff coming out with augmented reality, and we're going to do some of it. So that's exciting too for me.
Oh, interestingly enough, our top 3 winners, Virginia,
Yeah.
all chose math concepts. So we see number lines. That would
Okay.
be awesome. Oh, let's see if I'm choosing. Here we go. The next one was input output machines. So
Oh,
that sounds super cool. And then of course we have our equal groups. So you can, I think there's some really great ideas. If we look at all of these, they're going to have probably a ton. Oh, look at that. That is so fun. I love it.
wow.
Mm-hmm. All right. So there's some really cool stuff that you may find is already in there. Oh, somebody said VR. You're speaking my language. All right, this is good stuff, everyone. Thank you so much for submitting. Don't forget, if you want to share out by the end of today, we'll be watching for your responses. If you use social media, make sure to use hashtag McGraw Hill AR. And please tag me if you can so that I can see it, and make sure to follow up with you about shipping out those newspapers. And thank you so much on my end. Virginia, if you want to end it out.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody. And please, we hope to see you in the next 2 webinars. The next one is next Tuesday at 8 p.m., same time, Eastern time. And we're going to be focusing on gamification. So we're really going to get into the activities next time. We did the lesson planning resources a lot tonight. We're going to really get into the activities and talk about the gamification behind some of them. And so it's going to be a really fun one, very interactive. So share it with your friends, come back and see us again. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.